Right, so they want me to solve this inequality. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it so I have it a little bit bigger. Alright, so when solving an equation or inequality, the first thing that's usually good to do is remove fractions. This inequality doesn't have any fractions. The next thing we typically address is parentheses. We want to remove parentheses by distributing. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to distribute the 4. 4 times z is 4z, and then 4 times the 3 is 12. On the right-hand side, the parentheses can be just dropped. There's nothing to distribute. Recall that there is a 1 right here, and when we multiply through by 1, the terms remain unchanged. So I can just drop the parentheses, or you could look at it as distributing the 1. And of course I have the minus 8. Now that the parentheses are gone, we combine like terms. I see that we have a 12 here and a 12 here. I can combine those. So we have 4z plus 24 greater than or equal to 3z, and negative 6 minus 8, we can combine those numbers to negative 14. Now I have two variable terms, a 4z and a 3z. I'm going to cancel out one of those. It doesn't matter which one I cancel out, but it's nice to leave myself with a positive coefficient. It's a little bit preferred that way. And so I have 1z plus 24 greater than or equal to negative 14. And finally, we subtract 24 from both sides. And after subtracting 24, let's see, negative 14 minus 24, that would be negative 38. They also want me to write this answer in interval notation. Sometimes it's easier to do interval notation after graphing. So if I graph this, we have negative 38, and the solutions are greater than negative 38, so that would prompt me to shade to the right, and there's an equals. So we put a closed circle on negative 38, which indicates that the number is included in the graph. So all of the solutions range from a low of negative 38 to a high of infinity. They just go on forever. And if there's a closed circle, we put a bracket. The bracket indicates that the number is included. So when we have an equals with the sign, there'll always be a bracket. But if there is no equals, we'll put an open circle on the graph, and there'll be a parentheses on the interval notation. A parentheses indicates that the number isn't included. Infinity always gets a parentheses. So this is the interval notation. And they want me to select the graph. Let's see, looks like it's C. Looks like my graph matches to C, where I start at negative 8, shade to the right with a closed circle. All right, so once again, I'm going to first rewrite this just so that it's a little bit bigger for me. All right, so they want me to solve this. I'm going to begin by getting rid of these fractions. I can remove the fractions if I multiply both sides of the inequality, or multiply the entire inequality by the common denominator, which is 6. So we're going to distribute the 6. I'm going to go 6 times m over 3, and then 6 times the next term, and so on. When I multiply 6 times m over 3, the 3 goes into the 6 twice, and then 2 times the m is 2m. 6 times the 2 is 12. 6 times the m is 6m greater than. And then now I'm multiplying the 6 by the negative m over 2. Well, 2 goes into 6 3 times, and then 3 times the negative m is negative 3m. And finally, 6 times 5 over 3. Well, 3 goes into 6 twice, and 2 times the 5 is 10. So I've got rid of the fractions. There's no parentheses. The next thing I'm going to do is combine like terms on either side. On the right side, we don't have any like terms, but on the left side, I have a pair of like terms I can combine. So I have 8m minus 12 greater than negative 3m plus 10. Now we have We have a variable term here and a variable term here. It doesn't matter which one I cancel out, but it's typically preferred to cancel out the smaller one to have a positive coefficient afterwards. So I'll add 3m, and so I have 11m minus 12 greater than 10, and then we add 12 to both sides, and finally divide by 2. So m is greater than 2 is the solution. They want me to write my answer in interval notation. Sometimes it helps to graph to get interval notation, even though they don't ask for the graph. So m is greater than 2. There's no equals, so I would put an open circle, and then I would shade to the right. That's the graph. So all of the answers range from a low of 2, but not including 2, so we put a parenthesis, and to they go to the right indefinitely, so we have an infinity. And so there's the interval notation.